Little Theater of Stoughton's mission is to inspire, educate, enrich, entertain, and instill a love of the magic of theater to all members of the community. 57 seasons strong, the Little Theater of Stoughton truly has something for everyone. Their reputation for providing quality live local entertainment grows each year as they continue to stretch their collective muscle and offer more students and adults and audiences opportunities to participate in the dramatic arts. Their members contribute many long hours before the curtain ever rises to keep the tradition going. Jan Jones, who is the chairman of the board of Little Theater of Stoughton, is with us today with some of the older members of Little Theater of Stoughton to talk about the present state of affairs, some past history, and where this journey is going and how we are going to get there by train, of course, and we'll find out what that's all about before the end of the show. Jan, how about starting us off by introducing the participants of today's show?
Well, thank you, Roy, for having us and giving us an opportunity to let everybody know what's happening and where we're going. Let's see, to my right, Dave Glory, and Dave has come aboard to give us some new ideas, some new directions. And then we have Jeanette Champagne-Boudreau, and Jeanette has been with us since she was age 12, is now a grown-up with a whole job. And then we have Sam Bushaiba, who was with us since he was 4 years old. Couldn't even read, and mom had to read the script to him, then he memorized it. So Sam's now in college and has been kind enough to come back and give us a few minutes of his time. And then we have Mom Chris Bushaiba, who has been the backbone of our organization for years and years, taking care of all kinds of things, from costuming, from calling people, from the concession stand, which has been the backbone of each show that we've done. And I do have a little bit to tell you that Little Theater started in 1957. So that gives us quite a long history. And we have to subtract a couple of years because the last few years have been a no-go because of COVID. So a no-go because of the pandemic, but then a no-go because we're missing a home. We had several venues in the town, and we have been faithful to the town of Stoughton and putting on as many shows as we can within the community for the community. We started in 1957 performing in local churches, and then in some of the schools with smaller stages, and then in restaurants. And then we went to the high school, and we were there for almost 30 years using the stage at the high school. We were instrumental with our members in designing and setting up the lighting system and the entire stage facility. Then after that, we were fortunate enough to have the theater in the center of town. And then we were unfortunately evicted when it was sold because we couldn't afford it and we couldn't seem to be able to get back into any kind of a position where we could do the upgrades that would mandate it and necessary to bring it up to code. So here we are. We're kind of homeless, and so I guess we're called a wandering troupe. We've been performing in different venues around town, the Stryer, the Temple on Central Street. We have also been at Stetson Hall in Randolph. We've performed in restaurants, in a tent on the town golf course. So we're an adaptable bunch, and we certainly can do what we need to do if we have to do it. All we need is a roof over our head and a place where we can put our sign and say, this is us, we're here, and whenever you need us, we're coming to perform. So right now, we're looking at an idea that has cropped up, and it's maybe an alternate use for the train station in town. Instead of being a waiting place for people to get on the train, we took a look at it, and it would make a fantastic black box theater. Small seat, maybe with retractable seating, about 110, 120 people. And we could have all kinds of other venues, and the town could have all kinds of other venues. it could be a cultural center for the town. So this is where we're kind of talking about things with a lot of people right now. And if we can get through the next few months, then maybe we could make a partnership with the community and with the town and with anyone else that would like to join us and take a train ride. And it would be an absolutely wonderful journey to have a perfect home and a place that is absolutely beautiful. Have you looked at it? It's got the most gorgeous design, and it's in the historical register. So it's something that it would be an honor for us to be able to utilize that facility and for the town to have it as something that they could call their crown jewel. Everybody could come and visit, see it, know what it's all about, and use it for all kinds of cultural and artistic events. So I'd like to go on to kind of with the people that I have garnered and begged to come on our show today, taking them away from their jobs and taking them away from homework that they need to do and taking them away from all kinds of other things. So could we start with Jeanette has to leave, and I'd like to ask her to give a few thoughts about her affiliation with Little Theater, how it started and what she's done and how it's impacted your life, and maybe reprise something that we could all share.
I would love to. So I started with the Little Theater of Stoughton when I was just 12 years old, and I was bitten by the theater bug, and that was one show was all it took. That's all I wanted to do. I spent every waking moment after school in some sort of show or two or three with you, Jan. Little Theater of Stoughton really gave me the skill set that I need to do the job that I have today. Currently, I am the Resident Services Director for Allerton House Assisted Living Community in Weymouth, which is a Welch senior living community. And I work as the Activity Director for seniors. So I have to have a pretty wide skill set. And I acquired that skill set through the Little Theater of Stoughton and learning public speaking, how to address a crowd, arts and crafts, how to paint a set, how to use power tools. All of these small minor things that you don't think much of when you're a kid because it's just fun to be around a group of people and people, like-minded people, really translated into my adult life. And I would say every skill that I put to use today is something that I learned through training with Little Theater of Stoughton in all aspects, whether it be the soundboard, lighting. I'm able to fix sound equipment at work now because I already know how it works from the years I spent on our crazy soundboard trying to get that thing to work. I now have the skill set to troubleshoot a lot of different technical errors. So that's what I have to contribute to that. And also the skill set that I gained musically in musicals and performing and making friends and going to conservatory is something I do now as well. I also run a side business called Jazz with Jeanette, and I go out and sing for seniors. Another skill set that I am so grateful that I acquired through the Little Theater of Stoughton.
Do
you have a little sample for us that you can tell us about something you might do in your daily activity?
In my daily activities, I actually have a calendar right behind me. Let me grab it for you. I'll tell you all about what we're doing today and how that translates into my daily life. Or earlier in the week, we actually had a ceramic paint class. I earned that skill set painting set pieces with the Little Theater of Stoughton on almost every single show from age 12 to 25. Even just our passport programs that we run, it's a lot of public speaking, which is not something that a lot of people have the skill for or learn unless you go in to get a degree in public speaking. I have to stand in front of rooms of people all day and talk. And that's, I get that from Little Theater. Improv, the ability to improvise.
That's really nice to hear.
It is.
It's really nice to hear because that kind of has been our forward mission. And we have had children from 1957 all the way to the present time. And we have chosen to be a teaching facility as well as a performing facility. And we have never turned away anyone who has wanted to join our group. And as long as you can pick up a paintbrush, pick up a hammer, you can do any little thing, if it's making a paper flower or taking part in building a 25-foot set. In my living room sometimes, I have to say that we've done all the pieces and then move them. and brought them
Remember,
back to the theater.
remember
Say
the
again?
remember the red curtain from Cinderella that was spread out
Oh
from
my God.
the kitchen
Yes.
all the way to the staircase. That took us a week to sew together, pleat by pleat by pleat. I learned sewing. I learned my skill set with sewing, which now we do pillow making and blanket making at work. I got that all from the work that I've done with Little Theater of Stoughton behind the scenes.
That's, I remember the red curtain. It was the backdrop, and we used it and then rented it out for all kinds of people. The only thing we never told anybody is that when we were sewing it, we left nice little marks in my nice wood floors all the way across the house. But that's okay. That's what it's all about. And they were fixable. So it's not a big deal. Can we switch over to Sam?
Sure.
Morning, Sam. Are you still awake?
Yes, hi.
Just checking.
I'm Sam, or Samir. As Jan said, I've been a member with the Little Theater since I was 4 years old. And I did my first show, which was A Christmas Carol, directed by Jan. And, you know, very similar to Jeanette, I've got so much from being a member of the Little Theater that truly, truly has impacted me in every avenue of my life. I mean, first of all, theater makes you such an emotionally intelligent person. And I think that's something I'm most grateful for. The ability to be able to transform yourself into different parts of people who have been, you know, whether it's a fake musical, whether it's Seussical and you're playing a Dr. Seuss character, or whether you're playing a homeless person, your ability to, you know, take from real life experiences and turn that into a character that's hopefully worth viewing is an amazing experience, and is what theater is all about. And of course, what Jeanette said, I am a master builder now, all from Little Theater of Stoughton. I redid my whole house. Designing rooms is my passion, and I got that all from Jan. As well as now as an adult, I've directed and choreographed many different shows for Little Theater, and I love being able to give back to the community that gave me so much.
Well, I think we can also add that not only just for Little Theater, you have choreographed and been in shows with other groups and other venues.
Mm-hmm. I was bitten by the theater bug full force. I've done shows all over Massachusetts. I even almost worked professionally. But yeah, I've directed, choreographed, performed, danced in as many shows as you can think of. I'm pretty sure I've been in like over 50 musicals, and I also danced competitively for years.
Well, now,
and all
in reality, what are you doing for a future career?
Well, for a future career, right now I go to Tufts University. I'm studying biology pre-med with hopes to become a doctor one day. And once again, that all my passion for helping people, my passion for public speaking, which allows me to be successful in my courses, it's all from Little Theater.
Well, thank you. Roy, would you like us to give you a little bit more history, or can we jump into talking about the future?
I would talk, if there's more history, I would use that. Or actually, the one thing I wanted to bring up was the recent passing of Bob DeLuca, who was, he was, all I remember is him with Little Theater in all different parts over the years. And maybe we can briefly touch on that and then get into some more of the future.
Well, we certainly can. That has been the saddest moment in Little Theater, because Bob has been our superstar as one of the life members and founding members of the organization. He passed away last Thursday, and even in his passing and being really sick, he had set up a meeting for me with a couple of people, Dave Laurie for one, Ed DeFelice with another, and I think with you. So his last few weeks, even though he was in really bad condition, his thoughts were with Little Theater and wanting to make sure that we were all set, we were going to be able to go forward and to continue our legacy. And our legacy is that we have been providing really quality community theater, live theater to the community and to surrounding communities for over 65 years. So it is a legacy, and it's an amazing one. And we're going to miss him. I mean, he was well known for, I can't even count all the shows that he was in, but we can count a couple. There were 4 Christmas carols that he did 4 years in a row, played Scrooge, and he was a wonderful Scrooge. And then he was in MASH, and I just happened to have the billboard from MASH. And one of his characterizations is right here with my finger. And it was put out in front of the Armory on 139 and was there for weeks. And it was, what can I say about Bob? Bob was there no matter what we needed him for. You call and say, Bob, we've got a problem, and he would solve it, or at least give you a direction where you might solve it. But he was with us, and not only just with us, but he interacted with everyone in each show, and everybody knew and could count on him as a teacher. And we're going to miss him. We're just going to miss him so badly. He was our favorite person, and it's hard to let go. Is somebody you really cared about and loved.
Right.
So I know Sam has worked with Bob in all the Christmas carols. And Jeanette has worked with Bob in shows. Even we did a lot of dinner theaters that we took kind of on the road and took it to different hospitals, different nursing homes. And it was
the director.
Who killed the director? Exactly. And we just did another reprisal of that. The last show we just did before COVID hit, and we did it at the hotel, the Hampton in Stoughton.
Roy, could I add about Bob DeLuca too, if you don't mind, Jan?
Absolutely.
There's actually a very, very interesting connection with the people not only here but also who aren't in this Zoom session. I was campaigning last year, if you remember, for Select Board, and one of the cornerstones of what I was campaigning on was something to do for the railroad station. And you interviewed me on a community forum. And one of the things you did was you said, Dave, when are you going to start a committee and get this thing going? We want to see something happen, an exciting idea for the railroad station, like a theater. So I got a lump in my throat because I didn't have an artistic director in mind when I came out with the idea. All I had was the concept, but not the people. So I go to breakfast, as Jan mentioned, Ed DeFelice. He introduced me to his friends down at Maxie's, and Bob DeLuca spends before he passed, every weekend having breakfast with a bunch of gentlemen in the back of the restaurant. So I met Bob DeLuca just in the last, say, 8 months or so, and he got his attention on what the opportunity was with the railroad station together with the little theater. It spawned this, it created this domino effect where from your show to Bob DeLuca taking an interest in solving the problems that the little theater had, to having me connect with Janet. I didn't know who Janet was. And so he introduced me to her, and then everything started to just kind of keep going and going and going. We hope the momentum picks up so that we could actually see this kind of thing come to fruition. But it was Bob DeLuca that connected the dots between the needs of the little theater and the needs of the town at the same time. And that's how this kind of thing got together. But thank you, Roy, for actually participating in getting the inception of this thing going.
Well,
that is a great story.
Yeah, go ahead, Jan. All right. One thing I noticed in just listening to the various participants in this show is their ability to project, and it's very much a reflection of the training that they've had with Little Theater. I mean, everybody's bubbling over with energy, and that's great. I love to see it. We have Chris. You should be very proud of that young guy. He's going to do well.
I am. She should be. Because without her, he couldn't have even learned his lines for the first show. So Mom was right there. making sure he had all the skills that he needed. And he was smart enough, obviously, as a little tot, to go and memorize everything. So it was a great learning tool. And Chris has been right there for every single child that we have had going through our doors, and also helping build sets, helping do costumes, helping to go look for props, helping whatever she had that we needed done. She would say, I can do it. And she did. And we've come to count on her for almost every area. If there's a problem, go see Chris. She'll fix it.
That's not always my decision.
Not always, but nevertheless, you have done the job. We have got a crew now that works on concessions that are amazing. They're absolutely amazing. Chris gets it all together, organizes it all. They come in with all their stuff. You wouldn't even know that they've been around, set up this beautiful display, and take care of selling all kinds of things that we never know about. And then planning a cast party afterwards when the show is over, when we break down the set. But we have done some fabulous, fabulous work. Jeanette has been instrumental, and Sam have been instrumental in coming and working on building sets that you would not imagine that we could do in my dining room or in my living room or on my floor. But
In the back porch.
It's what we have, what we love. It's what we're good at. And that's what we do no matter what. If it has to be outside, we do it outside. If it has to be inside, we find a spot to do it. And I would love to have Sam and Jeanette, if they can, sing us something that they have reprised from one of our shows, or something that they feel is appropriate for today. And maybe for Bob, because I know he's listening.
I think you read my mind, Jan. I was going to say, you mentioned that somebody was going to be doing some singing, in the possibility of a duet, and I hope we can technologically do it. So go for it.
Okay, well, let's see what they got. Sam, you want to start?
Sure, I can sing something.
Go for it, Sam. Take it away.
This song is actually from the last show that Little Theater did, the last full-length musical, Anything Goes. And it's one of my favorite shows because I was a dancer my whole life, as I said earlier. So I can't pass up a good tap number. So I think I'm going to sing I Get a Kick Out of You, written by Cole Porter. My story is much too sad to be told, but practically everything leaves me totally cold. The only exception I know is the case when I'm out on a quiet spree, fighting vainly the old ennui, and I suddenly turn and see your fabulous face. I get no kick from champagne. Mere alcohol doesn't thrill me at all. So tell me, why should it be true that I get a kick out of you? Some get a kick from cocaine. I'm sure that if I took even one sniff, that would bore me terrifically too. But I get a kick out of you. I get a kick every time I see you standing there before me. I get a kick, though it's clear to see you obviously don't adore me. I get no kick in a plane, flying too high with some guy in the sky is my idea of well, nothing to do, but I get a kick out of you.
Bravo.
Yay.
Awesome. That's
Thanks,
great,
Jeff.
Sam. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Jeanette, don't go away. We're gonna go charge you with the same task right now.
Well, sure. I'm going to give you a little clip of a song and then I've got to get back to work. So I just wanted to say thank you for having me today, Ray. I appreciate it. So nice to see everybody. And I'm so glad that we were able to come onto the show today. And I'll keep it classy with a little Judy Garland for you, a little snippet of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I? The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, thank you. That was beautiful. Perfect for today and perfect for Bob. So thanks again. And I understand you have to go back to work, but thank you for coming and taking the time. And we want to talk a little bit about why we talked about the train station. And I don't know if everyone knows the whole story of the train station. There are people here who are much more adept at telling you the history and what's going on and who built it and whatever. And all I know is that there are 2 beautiful rooms in there that are begging for company, and we would be happy to provide that for them. So let's turn it over to Dave and see what we have to say.
Yeah, Roy, is there any direction you'd want to take with that, or do you want me to just kind of in general talk about it?
Let me put it this way. There's someone who has been patiently waiting to talk
Yes.
about the train station also. Why don't we hear from Dwight? We don't have
That works.
That sounds great.
Thank you. That works for me too.
Yeah, Dwight.
Okay, I'm controlling my impulse to sing a song or to quote some
Well, then do
Shakespeare. But I'm very impressed to hear about all the accomplishments of the Little Theater and hearing the samples of talent that they produced. And I did spend in another life 34 years as an English teacher and know a few Shakespeare lines and had a lot of students who went through Newton South High School and performed well. And before that, I trod the boards at my father's church and sang a few songs up there, quoted Bible verses. And if I have any ability to stand in front of a group of people and talk between the preaching and the teaching, I guess that's where that came in. But my preaching for the last 20 years has been more for the Stoughton Historical Society and Stoughton Historical Commission. And one of the major things that happened was that the town bought our historic railroad station, which was built in 1888 and has one of the few towers of any train station in the state because it was a terminal junction. It's had its high points and its low points. The town did an amazing job of restoring it back in 1976-ish, I want to say, under when they made it a National Historic Landmark, and Alice Petruzzo, Dot Woodward, a number of people in the Historical Commission actually saved the train station, which was going to be flattened. because before I came to Stoughton, there was just before that, there was an idea because of urban renewal and maybe making an exit out to 138 that would bypass Town Hall and would cut to the right. And part of that plan was for the train station to be demolished.
Oh, no.
So, at a Stoughton Historical Society meeting in 1966, I just looked at the minutes of that meeting. They voted that that was an outrage and something should be done. And for the next 10 years, Alice Petruzzo, Dot Woodward, and a number of people started a campaign that not only saved the train station, got it on the National Register, but refurbished the inside, raised thousands of dollars, and had that train station looking beautiful. And some of you can remember events that were held in there. I believe there was a ball, and it was for 5 or 10 years, the inside of that train station was spiffy. Then a disagreement arose between the town and the MBTA, and the MBTA allegedly was charging the town too much for insurance, for damages in the parking lot liability. So the town manager cut the cord and said, that's it. So for the next 20 to 30 years, the train station just sat there, each year getting more and more decrepit. The MBTA doing very little to it, the town doing very little to it. They did have a food pantry in there. I remember taking my cats and dogs once there to be inoculated, but there was really no upkeep for the station. Customers would come in there to wait out of the cold, but after a while it was cold in there because the heating system stopped working. So not that long ago, CPC funds were tapped into by the town, and the town actually purchased the train station and 30 parking spaces outside it. That was sort of the good news, but it was the beginning of a long train of obligations. The CPC in town have already spent, I want to say, $400,000 to $600,000 zipping it up, as we would say, fixing the leaks in the roof and whatever. And alas, to make that train station conducive to having the Little Theater or anybody else in there, millions of more dollars will have to be spent, taken to CPC, and probably the steps will go one by one by one. And in this particular economic climate, we know that we'll have to fight and claw for that money. But on the other hand, the CPC will supply it. And if as one of the end goals, we have people like Mr. Laurie saying, well, what are you going to use it for? Which he's been known to say about barns in the area and whatever. If people are going to say that about the train station, well, what are you going to use it for? Well, one of the things we can hold out there is that possibly it could be used as a venue by the Little Theater and other town organizations, as a place that would, you could put on dramatic events or have meetings, or it's fairly handicapped accessible. It's right on the first floor. But I mean, it is a beautiful, we had an open house there a couple months ago that was very well attended. We have pictures. If I come back on Roy's show later, I'll show a lot more specific pictures of what the train station actually looks like. A new development, and I'll break the news here, is that CPC has come to the realization that when CPC purchases a property or a building, as we did with Glen Echo, we need to have a restrictive covenant taken out with a third party that controls the future use of that building. With Glen Echo, we had to pay, I believe, $10,000 to the land trust to come in, and they essentially, on some level, hold restrictions over what can and cannot be done on Glen Echo. So if someone were going to say, well, we want to put 10 houses in here, at the most egregious example, the restrictions would not let us do that. The same thing has to be done on the train station. This just developed. So there's a plan. In this case, if we can make it work, to have the restrictive covenant possibly hasn't been okayed, held by the Historical Society, which would not be charging $10,000 for, but they would be the overseer of future use of the building. Now, I wouldn't want to see that in a restrictive way, because there are many possible uses, and that's not intended to cut off even some economic concern from coming in and starting a restaurant or whatever, if that were seen to work for the town. But it would mean that the Historical Society, which is different than the Historical Commission, might be the holder of that restriction. So what appealed to me about Dave's campaign for selectmen is when he began to mention having the little theater in the train station. That was one of the first credible plans that I had heard to use it for a community-based activity. Certainly the idea of having a railroad museum in there and artifacts also makes sense. And we can certainly supply a lot of the documents for the things that we had at the open house actually 2 months ago. But the idea of having that as a venue for theater certainly appealed to me. Now, when they want to start, if they want to start breaking down walls or moving things, whatever, the restrictive covenant will say, no, wait a minute, that's a historic building. You can only do so much. But the general idea of using that for something as valuable as the little theater has just sort of given a testimonial for what they do, that idea appeals to me. I do have to put the caveat, that roof is not going to be over your heads within several years at the earliest, because there's so much work that still needs to be done at the train station. But as a long-term goal, something to use for, to shoot for, something to mention as a possible use. I mean, I love the idea of artistic productions being held at the train station. So that's my view as, I guess, as a member of the Historical Commission, the CPC, the Historical Society, and a former English teacher. Out of our high school, we did produce a couple stars that you see on TV now, BJ Novak, Paul Krasinski, a couple other stars went through the Newton South Theater program. So we're going to hold a little theater to some high standards here.
Dave, we're going to have to, Dwight, we're going to have to produce more shows and have you bring up more of these facts and try to generate interest so that the townsfolk will, in fact, enjoy it or use it. I'm excited to think about it, and I hope everything will work out. It'll take some time. It'll work. In the meantime,
and I would be glad, Roy, I'd be glad to come on again. I have to scoot right now because I have another commitment. So I want to wish the little theater best and thank you for having me on the program.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and telling us all about it. And it's doing my heart good to know that we have people in our corner and that would love to see a cultural center in the train station.
As my high school principal used to say to us, and as I will say to you, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right, Jan, can we start looking at some of the pictures? Let me see if I push the right buttons here.
Well, I'm glad that everyone was able to spend a few minutes with us and tell us exactly what their feelings were about the train station. And hopefully Dave can add to it and tell us what he foresees for our future there.
All right, hold on one second. Let's, can you see this photo I just put up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
It's Forest, and I believe I see it. I can't read it, but it's from our scrapbook, and we do have two huge scrapbooks, as Dave can attest to, weighing about, 50 pounds each. They are huge.
Very close.
And we have things from way back when, and I'm sure that we had some information and some pictures from the 50s, but the scrapbook, I think, ends about 2000, might end about 2000. But we do have the beginnings where we charged $1 for admission, and then it went to $1.50, and then $2, and then $2.50. And now, of course, with the cost of production, there's no way that we could even entertain charging that little per show. Putting on
I think this photo shows the,
Oh, there it is. We have $350 for adults for tribute
right.
and $250 for students. Those prices are so long gone that I just can't imagine us even being able to do anything like that now. Although we have still tried to keep our prices comparable and to keep the prices down for students. And also we have managed to give out many comp tickets for our seniors in town. So
Right.
I know that in the past,
How about
we
this
used to
one?
give seniors a free ticket. And there's Ed Walsh. I do believe Ed Walsh is still living in Stoughton, and he was one of our beginning founding fathers. And that was our 25th season. And I think Ed did The Fantastics. And that was, I think, the first musical that was done at the high school. And it was an astounding success. So we have a lot of history in town, a lot of people who have donated a lot of their time and energy. And there's Bob right at the top of the screen. So in his younger days, very much younger days.
Who's that at the bottom?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Let me see, we get some more here.
We have any more?
Yeah, we do. Here's one right now.
Okay.
You see that one?
All right, let's see.
Is that Bob up on
Well,
the left?
no, that's not. That's Ed Walsh in the background, the second from the right in the back, second row.
Right.
And I should know the names of all these people, but this is probably 40 years ago. And
Well,
things are not as clear
those
right now.
haircuts look like easily the 70s with those haircuts.
Yeah.
But I thought that was Bob DeLuca in the upper left, on the left-hand side, but maybe it isn't.
No, that isn't.
Oh, okay.
I do know who it is, but I can't think of his name right now. But no, that wasn't Bob. Bob was in, let's see, Hasty Heart, I think. He was in Mr. Roberts, 1,000 Clowns. He was in Don't Drink the Water because I played his wife in Don't Drink the Water. And no, he's not in that.
How about
A
this one?
fine looking trio, though.
I couldn't resist myself. I had to get a picture of this one.
Absolutely.
Who are these?
So hopefully someone in the audience, if they're watching, can fill us in on the names that go with this. But I think somewhere in the scrapbook, we should have some names. I haven't got the scrapbook here, so I can't tell you that.
These scrapbooks are huge. I mean, there's
Yes.
so many shows, Roy. I can't tell you. I looked at it. I was amazed at how big this thing was. There were two giant leather-bound scrapbooks. It just goes on for years and years and years. And I was just astounded at how much they've been able to do over the years.
This the scrapbook is like 24 by 36 each page. And as he said, they're in leather-bound covers. And just the leather-bound covers, we never realized how heavy it was going to be to transport. And we used to keep them out in the lobby before the shows, but they got so heavy that we needed two people to take and move them around and bring them in. So now we have two scrapbooks that never really see the light of day. But we do have one at the funeral home where Bob's wake is being held tomorrow morning. So we do have one there, and hopefully, people will enjoy looking through, because I think Bob's picture is in quite a few of those. I know the Emperor's New Clothes is in that, and Bob played the Emperor and I played the Empress. So I do know that's there.
Great.
So Dave, are you going to tell us a little bit about what you foresee for
Well,
the train station in our life?
Yeah, I think coming off of Dwight's description of like how to materialize, the new home for the little theater is the things that a town, I think, like Stoughton, when it goes around and it just acquires properties without a purpose, yeah, it makes it much harder to get yes votes because we depend on votes, right? To say yes, this we want to make a purchase of some kind, and it doesn't matter what the price is. It's a matter of, well, why are we going to spend it? So what I tried to do and what this whole concept was about was just to put a program that activates a space that people can get behind and will vote yes to. So it's really about not, saying no to ideas as Dwight was mentioning. It's saying yes to ideas. And then it becomes so insignificant what it takes to actually have something like a treasure, a gem like the railroad station, to make it something that you could be proud of. I think that's what the town is really hungry for, are the things that are worth preserving and developing the downtown in a positive way and attracting young families and that type of customer to come into the center to participate in culture. I mean, what could be more noble an idea than to actually bring people downtown for that purpose? Not to mention all the great things that the Little Theater does in terms of bringing education to young people. So I mean, the ideas are endless when it comes to performing arts and culture, and so I want to basically create yes votes and make the cost and all those things, make them insignificant against what the greatness that the town can become if they just say yes. So it's always been about that. It's saying no to things that don't have an idea behind them and saying yes to ideas that do. That's really all it was about. And I was so fortunate that Bob DeLuca introduced me to Jan, and that Dwight contacted me because of the Historical Society's interest in actually activating the space so they don't have to watch the railroad station get demolished or decay over time and just languish. So I think with all the energy that's behind the idea, and Roy, you recognized it last year, and that actually created a lot of activity with people getting together and having discussions about it. So we're very grateful for that, and I'm very excited to be a part of the whole movement, if you will, to see it actually happen. That's it.
My response to what you're saying is, let's do it. Let's gather the movers and shakers and get this thing underway and put something together that we can all be very, very proud of.
That's right.
Well, we certainly are fired up to really work as hard as we need to see that something can happen and that we can have someplace that we can call home. So, I mean, we're welcoming anyone with any thoughts, any idea of helping, any idea of wanting to see that we can do this. I know we can do this. We just need to have really a plan and a direction, and what better direction than trying to get the train station to be the cultural center of Stoughton.
We deserve that. We need to build up the image of the town more than it is at the present time. We got to get the center of town completed, or at least get that hole in the ground completed. I think that's in the works. And in addition, the train station will be at the other end, and we'll do it. I really believe that the people will recognize the value and get behind it.
Well, I really can't thank you enough for giving us the opportunity to show off some of our talent, to show off some of the history, and show off exactly what we're all about. We've been here for a long time, and we're part of the history of Stoughton. I mean, when you've put in 65 years of providing live theater to the community, that's a long time, and it makes you one of the historical artifacts of town. Not that I really want to be considered a historical artifact, but I am at this point. So I intend to do what I can to make this happen. And I hope we can get everybody in town to join us. And it's something that we can all be proud of. And it's a wonderful legacy.
That's great.
So,
Chris, any last thoughts that you'd like to throw in?
I'm happy to be part of Little Theater. I'm not one to get up and public speak or anything like that, but knowing that you're part of something and being able to help where you can, and just the camaraderie you meet, people just become a family. And
well, that's certainly true. We are a family, and we have had so many situations where people have banded together, and we've had tragedies, we've had happy events, we've had all kinds of things that we have our Little Theater family standing behind and cheering us on and helping us out, no matter how bad or how good it is. They're there. So we can always find a group that's going to stand there and stand with you and do what needs to be done. So I have no doubts that if we need a work crew, we will certainly find it within our organization to come down and do whatever needs to be done manually that we can do to help out and make this event happen. So again,
I have to tell you, Jan, I'm listening to you. You're prime candidate to be your own host on a show like this. You're really fantastic. You're a real take charge lady.
well, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Sam, last thoughts.
Sorry, I'm
Who?
muted.
Okay.
Last thoughts. I would just have to say, reflecting on everything that Jan and my mom have been saying, I'm so grateful for Little Theater. I'm so grateful for the town of Stoughton and the community that I now have because of all my years doing theater. And I just wanted to thank you guys for this opportunity for us to, show the town what we love about theater so much.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate all of you participating on the show, and I've learned a lot, and I hope the people who watch the show will also learn, and we're going to keep the momentum going. Dave, I want to speak to you when we shut the lights off, and let's go from there. Anything, I guess it's time to say thank you to everybody, and we hope you enjoyed learning about the Little Theater and the possibilities with the train station. And let's do it, everybody.
Thank you very much, Roy.
Okay.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have a great day, everyone.
My
Bye.
pleasure. Thank you all, and we'll see you again soon.